Greetings, class. For this installment, we're going to think about the question, when should conflict be avoided? And I want to say that there's three basic things that I would say should be the strongest indicators for avoiding or delaying conflict. The first is personal safety. If it looks likely or even like potentially threatening to engage with someone, I think that that's very, very good cause to pause, take a step back, and consider whether or not you should engage with the person. You should not get into a situation where it's likely to cause a threat to your safety, to somebody else's safety, um, when it could otherwise be avoided. Uh, right? If somebody's having a really bad day and they're walking around out in the street with a gun, you might call somebody else who has the training to respond to that kind of situation. But engaging in it yourself, like I've taken a class on conflict skills and I think I know how to talk to people. If you feel like that there's a possibility that that person who's carrying that firearm might use it, I mean, I just can't say it strongly enough. Threats to public health, threats to individual health should always be taken very seriously, and engaging with people who could be dangerous, physically dangerous or violent, it should always be one of, if not the last step that you would employ. The second thing I'm going to put here is you should avoid conflict when there would be legal prohibitions to doing so. Um, There might not be too many examples for your context, but there are situations in which engaging with others would be forbidden or discouraged for a number of reasons. And you should always make yourself familiar with the kind of the legal requirements for settling or engaging with others for disputes, such that you don't put yourself into kind of legal jeopardy um, in in the cause of advancing for yourself. And then the third thing I'll put here is that um, delays are something that we could consider in the terrain of um, avoiding conflict, which would be that we're not necessarily permanently negating, our involvement in a dispute with another or engaging in a conflict, but that we would at least be temporarily taking that step. And that could happen for a number of reasons. For ourselves, that might be that we are aware of our own hot buttons. We know that we have been activated in ways that we are less likely to be able to think or act strategically, and that we know that if we wait, uh, let some of the tension de-escalate, let some of our steam kind of blow off, that would be beneficial on the basis of uh, it would be better for us, but also that we could even predict for that. So doing tomorrow instead of doing today uh, is smart when it's unlikely that we'll be able to comfortably engage with the conflict today. Um, or if we believe that about another party or parties, that we see that they're too angry right now, and we think that letting them sleep on something can help, right? So avoiding that conflict. Um, but there's a lot more than just hot buttons. It can be completely reasonable to say, let's wait until we get more or better information. Lots of times there are disputes, and the substance of the dispute can be solved or settled with data collection and making an agreement that we will hold off on this until, and we can specify the parameters. Could be of good value, because you may be arguing two different points based upon two different expectations, but that those expectations can be settled. And instead of having the argument, you can just say, let's wait until we see the results. So a delay can allow that opportunity. Um, then the last thing here would be to say that just because we can, right? Maybe there's not good cause on the basis of threat to physical safety, and maybe there's not good cause on the basis of legal precedent or some sort of jeopardy, and maybe there's not something that's forecast for pausing. Just because we could engage in conflict doesn't always mean that we should, right? We might see that the opportunity and costs are too high, right? Like taking somebody to court because you think you have a 10% chance to win a case just might not be strong enough to pursue it. Especially, if the cost of going and bringing the suit forward is large in comparison with the potential for having a remedy in the damages or the relief that you're seeking from the court. So if you have a calculus where you say, like, the return on investment for this simply just doesn't make it worthwhile, it's good to think about conflict. What are the true costs? Getting into a conflict, if nothing else, uses your time. And if your time is worth more than what you're fighting over, that is something that I really want to encourage people to think about. We can fight over things. That doesn't mean we should. But the things that we think that we can use to our benefit are things that we really should explore. So some conflict should be avoided. Some of the conflict should be avoided for clear reasons. It's important for our physical and legal safety. Some conflicts should be delayed because we see that the opportunity to reach beneficial resolutions will be aided by waiting, either for information or for cooler heads to prevail or anything else. There's a lot of things that could cause somebody to want to wait. Right? And then lastly, just that there is some ability for us to think about what's at stake and what are we risking and what is our time worth and all of that. And so that if we just don't feel like it's worth getting into the fight, whatever that conflict might be, if it's better for you to just avoid conflict, you should comfortably do so until such a time that it actually would make more sense to engage. Conflicts change all the time. Life is dynamic. Relationships are dynamic. So deal with it when it serves you. Don't deal with it when it threatens you. See you on the next one.